So multimedia, we know the multimedia is text, animation, graphics, pictures, videos, and sound. And in education, it's great if we just mix them and use them, because in my opinion, there are some topics in the books that children may not understand that clearly when they read it. So if we use the multimedia to show them, it might be really helpful for them and actually make their understanding much easier. Internet, everybody knows what it is. It's a big network full of networks. We have a lot of browsers, applications, websites we can use today in education and learning. I'm pretty sure some of you use of these application or websites. Which ones, if you can say? Your Facebook is
in the classroom?
Yes, and why do you use Facebook?
No, in the classroom, no.
No, well, some people use it in the classroom.
To search something
Yes.
with a child, I use it in my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube to show him something.
So you use YouTube to explain your students.
Yes.
Yes. So yes.
To teach him sounds of the letters.
Yes. You are teaching
words.
languages. Yes. So yes, if you teach language or are studying to teach languages, I think YouTube is really helpful as well. And here are the reasons why to use the internet and multimedia in the classroom. First, it's a huge opportunity to grow the creativity of the students, because by using internet you can use a lot of sources. Then time. For teacher, I think it saves time during the class, because they don't need to explain that much. They just use the internet, some video, picture to describe what they want to see, what they want to say. It's more attractive for the students because it's funny, it's something new, and it's more interesting. For the explanation, as I said before, actually you can encourage the students for thinking and engage them into the process. By this I mean you can put them into the groups and give them some task, and they can work together by using multimedia and internet. And it's actually, as I said, it's more funny for them. And together they can find more informations and solve the problems better. It's well, I don't know if you will agree, but I think in some books there are some ineffective activities. So by using multimedia or internet, they can be replaced for something better and much more interesting. Teachers today can put the grades online for the students. And what's the most important fact for me is that technology is becoming some sort of aspect of life for people today, because I think we all know when we will search for this future job, first thing they will ask us if we have some skills with multimedia, if we can use some apps or some other tools. So, teacher. In my opinion, the teacher should be like colleague, but also leader, guide the students, and control what they are working on when they are using internet. So they should help them, the students, I mean, they gather the informations, then they filter them if they are useless, or if they can use them in the future, or if they are available now, if they need them now, and then they should teach them how to work with this information. Also, the teacher should recommend the students appropriate pages. Well, I mean web pages, because we know the internet is full of bad content for the students, and it can affect them not the way we wanted them at the beginning. So the teacher, when working with the information, should control if the information is accurate, up-to-date, and relevant. What is really important is any teacher shouldn't underestimate his students, and also the slower student doesn't mean it's less intelligent person, because we know sometimes the children who understood the topic at the beginning don't have this, that good results as the students who had the problems at the very beginning. Yes, nowadays the kids can get information anywhere, anytime, anyway. We know this is really true because there's Wi-Fi everywhere. We have the tools for this, and yes, and disadvantages and advantages for the student to use multimedia and internet. Well, the creativity, its freedom in expressing thoughts. They are building self-reliance and self-esteem. It's good for communication, but if you think about it, in my opinion, today the students are communicating less face-to-face, which is really a problem, and they rather choose the option to use, for example, Facebook or emails or Twitter. And do you think there's some teachers, is it okay they're communicating via medias, not face-to-face? Is it okay?
No, it's not okay. It's true.
Yes. So I think every teacher should somehow control using these tools in the class, and explain to students why it is still important to communicate face-to-face and not just via media. But on the other hand, it's improving the skills with technology. It's more spontaneous because we know it all. We feel much free if we are like not seen. Sometimes we express more thoughts when we are in, let's say, in shade than when we are speaking directly to someone. And internet and media are connecting life with technology. It's good or great for imagination, and as I said before, it's better for understanding of the content of the topic. Disadvantages is there are inappropriate content. It may become a kind of addiction for the students. Thinking. I think today's students are becoming really lazy, because even small kids can tell you, I'm not going to study this because I can find it online. So it's actually some sort of laziness, and I don't like this right now, because I think the students can, by reading, for example, if you compare it, by reading book, you can find a lot of information and something more. But if you are looking online for the one information, you just get one answer, nothing around this. So it's not like I'm saying internet and media is bad for education. They are great, but I think there should be some breaking point with traditional education and using media. and internet. How can the students use multimedia and internet? Well, they can blog, communicate via emails, interact with other students. They can share opinions. We have a lot of tools or websites where people share their ideas. They can join online lectures, send assignments, and use the online material. Well, I was searching online and I found some of these applications for students which might be helpful. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. There's some mailbox, script, Mathway. It's good for counting if you have problems with math. Dictionary if you are studying languages. Self-control, it's like organizing your timetable. Prezi, we know all of them. All of us know the Prezi. Powtoon, Slide Rocket, Slides, or iTunes. As I said, sometimes there's inappropriate content for the students, and especially if you are teaching small kids. I know you can't protect them, but somehow you can manage. They won't find something which will affect them in a bad way in educating. So there are two communities I found online. It's ePulse and eChalk, which are really secured, and the content is really nice. You just have to sign for these communities. Yes, and now to compare education, traditional one and nowadays. But before, I would like you to type this address into your computers, if you can. Okay, so I found this website because I'm not that technologically skilled person. So instead of using some tools, I decided to look for something like this. And if you go a little bit down, you can see there are some lessons. They are changing like every day. If you click on one of them, like lunar cycle, yes, this happens sometimes. Okay, so I think it's not working with this computer, but
You have a pop-up
no. Okay, so I think it's not working with this computer, but if but if you use it, you can see there are some lectures for the kids, and the basis is just click on some subject and you'll get a scroll of description. So it's much more interesting for the kids than reading the book, and you can see also the pictures and sounds. Yes, you can use it in your room if you have later. And as for teaching, I would like you to compare the traditional teaching with teaching nowadays when we are using technology, and if you think it's much better and why, if not, also why. Because if we think about it, we went in few years from books to e-books, from pens to keypads, from blackboards to smartboards. And in my opinion, on what I can see on some of my students, it's I think some of them are already losing that important skills, like they have problems with writing and reading, and I'm not sure if it's good. It's not, as I said, it's not like I'm against technology. It's great. It's really helpful, improving teaching. But if you think about it, if you can see some disadvantages as well. No?
Yeah, I think it's very important to read, like handwriting, write like handwriting, reading. It is important to have these skills and not just type. But yeah, it is very good and useful, these things, multimedia, internet, and these things. But definitely, all people should
Yes, know how to write.
To read it. I think it's
The basis.
I have that problem in my classroom now.
Yes.
Child that they can write, take a pen, but they can't touch the cell phone, and working.
Yes.
But when I give him the pen or ask him to make a draw, it's very.
Yes, it's because the children have a great memory. They can remember the icons or some steps, but they don't know what it means. So, yeah, as I said, they are technological skilled from little age, but maybe in the future they will lack these basic skills. Yes.
But I guess the problems are not only about not about the kids in school, but also about the teachers, because you mustn't think that technology is just the best you can use in your lessons.
Yes.
You have to have concepts, and you have to reflect when it's really a benefit to use digital media,
Yes.
and when it can be, or when it can improve your lessons, because, for example, it makes something much easier to understand. But
Yes.
you mustn't use them just to use them.
Yes, it's exactly what I said. I don't know when, but it was a few minutes ago. Every teacher should think about some like meeting point when to use technology and when to use books in the classroom, because the teachers who are using just technology, well, okay, one day we know it can happen, blackout, and what next? If there's no connection. So, yeah.
For us, it's easy because I work that way and work that way.
Yeah.
I use it the two, but the future teachers maybe become a problem.
Yes.
No? Or not?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, and another thing is just I have used it a lot while I was learning, while I'm learning, in the sense. And I'm sharing a lot of resources also with the kids, but in a sense that there was one project when I was working together with engineers, they were completely shocked, like, how can you share this? Like, you should use it for half a year. Like, you know, all the features, everything. I was like, then it's safe for sharing. So basically, well, then in the end, there's nothing you can share, almost. But like, because you have to know that actually
Yes.
well, to know all the
Yes, as I said, for the future, I mean our future, because we are adults, it's really important to have these skills. But if you think about small kids, well, okay, it's funny, it's interesting, it's something new. They are like addicted to this, they like it. But if we think about education, maybe it's not. Yes.
Yeah, that's somehow right, but I think that the media education is getting really important as a part of the education. So you cannot ignore the digital technologies just to say, oh, they're bad or something.
Yes, that's why I said you have to think about how to mix these two things.
Okay, then maybe got it somehow wrong that you.
Yeah. Yes.
And maybe to be more revolutionary, how do you know that in maybe 15 years, you never write on paper anymore.
That's not what I said. I said
No, I'm
the
saying-
children are lacking the skills, like they have
I'm saying,
problems.
I'm not,
Yes.
but maybe they won't need anymore this writing skills. It's just useless maybe.
Or they don't need the teachers even.
Even.
I don't think so.
Yes, that's actually the last slide,
Yeah.
which is, I think it's already happening.
Isn't it also a question what kind of role has the teacher right now?
Yes.
How we see what the teacher has to be or what he has to do or not. And I guess this technology, well, it's widely used already in private area. You know, for informal learning, for non-formal learning, we use it all the time. But in the formal learning area, we have still this classical picture of learning. There must be a teacher standing in front and giving us all this knowledge. Those tools are really have the possibility, the open possibility of being, well, more free to do it when you would like to do. You can do it wherever you would like to do. So you are somehow independent. And I guess that somehow doesn't fit very well the classical picture of schools or education we have right now. And we also have to learn it. It's also a huge learning process for the teacher and for the learner.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, I must just add.
Yes.
We were talking about these technologies and kids. Well, I suppose that well, these little kids that kind of have these technologies in their genes, they are the ones that use this learning by doing the most with technology, and yeah, maybe they don't need so much training about how to use it, but they definitely would benefit from teachers teaching them critical thinking skills and analyzing what they're doing. Because in Latvia some years ago we had a research about safety on the internet, and the kids actually didn't know quite a lot about sharing private information and stuff like that. And adults, as they see that kids can navigate with technology very fast, they actually think that they know about the safety, know about the usefulness of it. But it's quite often actually not the truth, and the teachers are afraid because they don't feel so secure about their knowledge of technology.
Yes.
Can I jump in and join your email because I think media education is extremely important. When I look to my students, my typical students are, I don't know, 19, 20 years old. So the kind of generation who are already growing up with technology or with computers. And when I ask them what they are doing with technology, okay, they say they use Facebook, they use email and all that stuff. And then I'm asking who has already uploaded a video on YouTube? None. When I ask them, you know what's RSS or blogs, you're running a blog or something like that, podcasts? No, what's that? So I think those very typical services are widely used by email and all that stuff. But technology is so much more, media so much more. And I think we really have to explore all together how we can use all these possibilities.
Yeah, and then in high school they don't know how to use Word or Excel or PowerPoint.
Oh, well, let's be honest, how many functions do we use from Word or Excel or other things? 2, 3, 2%, 5%? I don't know.
I'd like to say something about when you said about I think the children are getting lazy. I have two perspectives. As a teacher and as a mom, my children were born with technological skills already. They don't know life without computers and cell phones. They can't imagine how could you live without it. So I think the same way. I don't have to know this because I can go to it. Me myself. So I get it when children say that. It is our role, that's the teacher's role, to guide them and provide them with skills to filter it.
Filter.
Select information, right, and apply them to usefully. That's our role. So I think teachers are always limited. Sorry.
Yes.
And other thing you said about the face-to-face interaction,
Mhm.
definitely they communicate through media much easily, and it's some students it helps them
Mhm.
because they're too shy and they don't interact other than with
Yes.
the media.
So some kind of borders, boundaries around
But
it.
that's
Yes.
a problem that should be solved by psychology. And, but it's a good instrument for those kids who are
Yes.
too shy to interact in the classroom.
And I'm not sure if not nowadays people are much more communicate than in the past.
Yes, I think
Yes,
they
I
are.
think they
They
do.
communicate more, even through media, but they do communicate more.
Because I remember when I was a child, I'm sorry, I'm.
He's starting it all the time.
But I remember when I was playing football with my friends and my mom. Well, she knew where I am, but there was no way of communicating together. Well, she always knew, okay, I'm there, and she can come there if she needs me if something was wrong. But no way of calling me or something like that, or develop mobiles or something like that. So yeah. Or we couldn't even probably communicate so easily together as we do right now. I'm sending out an email, you all have it in a couple of seconds.
She's communicating with the child me all the time. All the time.
It's maybe about the quality of communication then.
Yeah,
I think it's sometimes more superficial. So
that's right.
maybe we communicate more.
I don't know. No, I don't think
I
so.
see it on Facebook every day.
Look,
That's superficial.
sometimes we express ourselves better with the computer, through the computer, than face to face. If we are in synchronous communication.
And actually, the communication, well, what I can see, some kids have problems with communicating face to face because of the vocabulary. But if they are typing, they are much better.
It can go both ways. Much
Yes.
better or much worse.
Worse, yes.
But it's not a question of the technology.
No.
It's a
No.
question of how to use the technology.
Yes.
Yes.
One point I also would like to raise, because you had it as well a little bit in your presentation. Nowadays, I was affected yesterday because I had to make an exam online, which was, yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. But the question is, does it matter nowadays to learn facts? Because, you know, if I want to know something, if I know how old the recipe from the Lindsay cake is or whatever, I can always check it up and I have all the knowledge in my pocket. So what kind of knowledge do we still need nowadays?
Well,
Or what kind of knowledge? Yeah, well, I can simply Google or find out on Wikipedia or whatever.
We should know how to Google.
If you want to participate in a contest, who wants to be a millionaire, you have to know the facts.
Well, I can say I don't want to be
You can
a
ask
millionaire.
for the house help.
It's just
Yeah.
an idea.
You need to know how to apply
It comes
that
naturally.
knowledge.
It comes
You
naturally.
may Google, you may read, but and the context and the situation, practical situation, how to use that information.
That's
I
our
read
role.
I read
That's what
the
I'm saying,
text.
that's our role.
What to color the dress, and they don't know, they don't understand sometimes. They may
Yes, that's
Google
its
something,
point.
but
That's the
it's
point.
not
How to use it.
how to
Yeah.
use it. Yeah, and
What to do it.
And I guess it brings also a big question mark to the school, because if we raise the question, well, we don't need to know all the facts anymore.
yes.
Then
Can't say
what
that.
should we? Yeah, you know,
Can't say
you will be banned from the school, but because you somehow really remove the ground, because the school nowadays is still saying, okay, we teach you all the facts, and you have to learn them there. It doesn't matter if you don't know or remember about them after a week after the exam or something. Nobody cares. But for the moment of the exam, you have to know it. They don't talk about a week before or a week later. That doesn't matter. And but it brings a very, very big question mark to our education system, and it
Yeah.
somehow shakes the education system and the ground of the education system. That's, yeah.
First, we should start with politics.
It's really.
Well, I don't know if politics can give an answer. I think the answer is already so much outside of the building, of the school building, because learning happens so much outside the school and not inside. And somehow the pressure from the outside is going very strongly inside, but I'm talking too much, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, but I would like
Okay.
to add something connected with what you said. I think the use of multimedia technology and new technologies helps us not to gain information, but helps us to think about using information.
Yes.
And I read an article on psychological science stating something that amazed me, and I will read you the title. Preschoolers outsmart college students in figuring out gadgets. And you know why? Two researchers, very important researchers from Edinburgh University, found out the answer to this question in that the preschoolers, unlike the adults, tend to use in problem solving the most unlikely hypothesis.
Yes.
While we as adults usually use the most conventional way. And I think the future generation of kids will outsmart us by the fact that they will be much more creative and fluid thinking, critical thinking skills will have more of these skills that we, I don't know if we have in the same manner. Let's hope.
We just have to give them the space, I think, and that's a huge challenge right now in the school, because in the school we still have this old-fashioned system, and probably they don't have the space to create their own creativity and their own thinking, you know. That's what I'm a little bit afraid, because when I look, so I don't want to raise all the time this topic, but when I look back from my childhood and right now, the school is still the same almost. It's nothing, or not much has changed, and that's what I'm a little bit afraid about.
No, because an adult teaches a child.
Yeah.
An adult
Yes.
with his conventional way of thinking inside the box.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's in our hands the new way to learn the children. We have a step forward. Take children. We have the new options to learn for them.
It's maybe we shouldn't be teachers anymore, but guides to.
Yeah, I think they should teach from each other, like teacher and student, because now they have more opportunities, and if the teachers will engage them into the process, well, actually they can both influence each other in good way only. Why not? I think.
And it's also an interesting European tendency, which I see quite critical. On one hand, we should say, or we are saying that, you know, you should focus more on the pupil, on the individual, and you say, okay, each person is different, has special needs, and so on and so on. And on the other hand, we have this huge European comparison. Okay, we have all these tests, and we want to compare, I don't know, Latvia to Austria and the learning outcomes there and so on. And that somehow, well, it doesn't fit together according to me.
Yeah.
To bring everything on some marks, and you have to learn some questions and answers and so on.
Okay. I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.